I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people just like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. If you've watched me for some time, you know one of my favorite people to interview is Dr. Doug Lisle, a psychologist who often has said that weight loss is the #1 personal goal in the world. Many people have lost weight and can lose weight, but where the rubber meets the road is keeping it off. About 98% of people that lose weight through a great deal of suffering and deprivation gain it back, usually within 2 years. Well, today I have a family who not only didn't gain their weight back, but collectively lost over 1,000 pounds. That's a half a ton, people. And they did it deliciously. And they're going to show you some of their favorite traditional recipes. Please welcome the LaJuanie family. Guys, thank you so much for being here. You are going to inspire so many people. You want to introduce yourself one at a time?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm Josh LaJaunie. This is my brother Dustin LaJaunie. And this is my mom Ramona.
And you guys have a cookbook called Pure Ambrosia that you're going to be making some recipes from.
Yeah. This is it right here, Mom. I actually talked her into doing it because she cooks so much for the family. And I was like, why? And people are always asking me about what do we eat? What do we do for, like, oh, you still have family and you're in South Louisiana. What do you do for birthday parties? And what do you do when you get together for Christmas and New Year's and all of the traditional things of, you know, a lot of the dressings and stuff that we would normally make? We miss it, but Mom has made it without the chicken and without the turkey necks and without the, you know, all the liver, the chicken livers and all of the different things that go into our foods. Yeah, and that's been a huge part of the sustainability part of, it's easy to do a plant-based diet and lose some weight, but how do you lose the weight and then reshape your life in a way that lost weight sticks around?
What's incredible though is the whole family did it. You know, we have so many people, well, I can't do it because my kids aren't on board, my husband, and they eat a lot of crap. How did the whole family get it? I know your story, Josh, and I think some people here too,
Yeah.
But how did the whole family get on board?
We just kind of trickled in. Josh started it, and I was his #1 target because I was the cook. And so he pressured me and persisted and sent me articles because at first I thought he was crazy. There was no way I was going to give up my meat and dairy. And the articles he sent me was very enlightening to me. And so, and then plus me watching him as he was losing weight and gaining energy and just being a whole different person, I said, well, I'm going to give it a try. And within 6 weeks, I was able to get off my blood pressure medicine. I had energy like crazy. I joined the gym, and 7 years later, I'm still a member of the gym doing exercise regularly, which I never thought that was a possibility. And I've lost 105 pounds and kept it off.
That is absolutely incredible. I mean, looking at you guys now, you'd never know that any of you were overweight.
And everything we kind of do in the South is all around food anyway. So figuring out a way to make some dishes that we can all still eat and make gains in our weight loss and our, finding our health was very important to get everybody on board. And it kind of, the fact that we had the whole family on board was our own support system, which made it sustainable, So I think it's really important, no matter how, it doesn't even have to be these recipes. Just get the idea of use what you have. Let's do it with this one North Star ahead of us as far as staying plant-based, and just create whatever we can. And let's do it together, because if we help each other out, we'll all have good results,
I really believe a family that gets healthy together stays healthy together. Ramona, there's a question. How long did it take you to lose 105 pounds? And guys, you can tell how long it took you guys to lose your weight too.
It probably took me a little over a year and a half, maybe. I was averaging maybe 7 pounds, 5 to 7 pounds a month. And I was feeling so good that it didn't bother me that the weight wasn't coming off as fast as I wanted it to, because I felt good. I was able to get out and move and do things, even though I wasn't losing the weight as fast as I wanted to or thought I should. And to me, that's the best way because I was able to keep it off.
Absolutely. Dustin, how, and well, Josh, you lost over 400, right?
No, I was over 400
Oh, okay.
pounds, but I lost over 220 pounds. Or
If
so.
you lost 400, you'd be zero, right?
I would be zero. But it took until so I went from 400 plus pounds to a 200 pound man. I've been a 200 pound man now since 2014. That means that it took me 3 years to total that 200 pounds of weight loss. But that was a ton of mistakes in 3 years worth. If I had done this from the beginning, it would have gone by a lot quicker. However, I needed the mistakes along the way, I think, to build the resiliency that I have right now and my resolve.
Dustin, where did you fit in this story?
I started at over 425 pounds. I've now lost 195 pounds, and it came in steps and phases. I got down to about 350 pounds before I've even found out about a plant-based diet. And that's usually where I would usually yo-yo back up. And I found out about the plant-based diet, started trying it, hit different plateaus, which was nothing other than that was the best I could do with the way I was doing it at the time. And then once I became enlightened on that, hit different levels by just changing the diet and exercise. And, it's taken me, I've been on this journey now for about 5 years, and it's just come in different levels over that time.
And funny side note, I met you for the very first time on Mother's Day in New Orleans. You were at a Veg Fest, and I was buying my mom your unprocessed cookbook that day. And so it's just been.
And you signed it.
Yeah, you signed it. And everything.
Gosh, that is such a great story. You guys are so good looking. I mean, this is incredible. I would think I think you would have a TV show. I think your whole town would be excited about this. This is news.
If I may, I would like to say that my daughter that's in the living room off the side, she lost 100 pounds also. She has gone through 2 pregnancies, whole food plant-based. She started about a year before her husband, who got on board and lost 100 pounds. My dad, who's no longer with us, lost about 150. Josh's mother-in-law lost quite a few, 50 pounds and a lot of medications.
Yeah.
Plus Josh's wife and Dustin's girlfriend has lost weight. So altogether, it's over 1,000 pounds we've lost.
And my Bam Bam that I talk about a lot, he was a real big part of why I was driving so hard on my mom to adopt a plant-based diet, because I was understanding through reading from Barnard and reading from Esselstyn and McDougall and from Campbell, that a lot of what we had seen him experience throughout our lifetime with cardiovascular disease, and in the later years, the dementia that ultimately manifests if it goes on long enough. Once I would start to understand the connection to the food, I started really pressing on my mom, because I met Dr. Greger at Health Fest one time, and he told me that, hey, if you can't reverse dementia, but my goodness, you can outperform the medication with food, according to the data. And so that resonated with me, and I really wanted to get my mom to start paying attention to what I was learning, so she could start maybe helping my Bam Bam bounce back a little bit. God, we didn't want to lose him,
And he did.
We didn't fix that part, but his cardiovascular disease did a 180. He lost 150 pounds. He became ambulatory. We could get him in and out of the shower.
He was in a hover round when we started this way of eating, and he was able to get out the hover round and walk with a cane. He would go riding every day, and his last few years of life was much more a better quality because of the way he was eating. I totally believe that.
It's never too late. It is, my next show today is Elaine Lane, the wife of Jack LaLanne, 94. It is never too late.
I love those people. They're so cool.
Yeah, well, you guys are so cool. You guys need a show. I'm serious. What's wrong with people? Man, if I had the power, I'd give y'all a show right now. So, I'm sure there's lots of questions how you eat, and I'm sure we're going to have time to answer them, but let's see how you eat. Make a recipe for us, Ramona.
Okay, I'm going to start, but I'm going to start with I'm going to cook my gumbo, and I'm going to show how to make a roux, which takes a little bit of time. And so while I'm making it, Dustin and John, they're going to go back and forth between me and making the roux, and Dustin doing his thing. And so
I love the name Bam Bam, by the way, because it makes me think of the Flintstones.
This is about a cup of oat flour, and I do find that the oat flour is the best flour to use. I've worked over a year to get this gumbo the way that I wanted it to be, and I used many different flours, and oat flour is the best. And so you start with your fire pretty high to medium, and you kind of let it sit until it starts browning, which takes a little while. And so once it starts browning, I'll tell Josh to come back over here, and we'll watch how you make a roux. Because if you don't do the roux right, you don't have a good dish.
Take your time with the roux.
Yes, important.
And then this is my brother.
All right, I'm over here making a quinoa salad. In the book, it's called the Mexi-ana quinoa salad, just Mexican quinoa salad in Louisiana that we kick a little spice in. I have right here, I just have a couple of dry cups of quinoa, this Inca red quinoa. 2 cups, dried cups cooked as per the directions on the box. And then I just take it here, and then I have everything pre-cut. This is 1 large tomato. And just throw everything in. Once the quinoa's clean, cooked and cooled off a little bit, I have half a cup of purple onion here. I have a 15-ounce can of black beans, organic, washed. Also have a 15-ounce can of corn, organic, rinsed. Here, I have the pre-measured out cumin, garlic powder, and the cayenne pepper. That's all right here. Just 2 tablespoons. Let's see here. I'll tell you right quick. It's 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, and a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. We're going to throw that in here. And then I have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice that we'll throw in here. And then the rest is just putting a little muscle in it.
And then for people who don't know what cumin is, it's like when you have chili and you taste chili and it's that very specific chili taste. That's a lot of what's cumin's bringing a lot of that to the party.
So everybody's asking if you have a YouTube channel, and if you don't, may I make a suggestion that you guys start one, maybe lunch with the LaJauanies or something like that?
We're just gonna throw a little salt and pepper to taste.
We don't. To answer the question, no, we don't have a YouTube channel.
I've been doing homework. I'm very interested, and I'm doing homework. I have a little notebook with notes, and I'm learning about a YouTube channel on YouTube. But
well, I'm happy to help you. You don't have to bother doing that. Just talk to me, because I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Let's get you guys started. You're fun. You're good looking. You're kind. You're vegan. You have a great story. I think we need to get you guys out there. I've been telling that to Josh for a long time, but
well, yeah.
That's the whole dish right here. It's pretty simple. I pre-cook the quinoa and measure everything out. This is the whole dish. It's great served cold. It's great served at room temperature. I also have, I'm going to show you a couple of ways that we can serve it. And right here, I just have some, I have these sprouted corn tortillas, Ezekiel brand. It's 4 ingredients, no oil, that I'd like to take and put there. And I just throw a little bit of some organic greens of any sort. They're not very specific. Doesn't matter, whatever you have. And then we'll spoon on a little bit of this right on top. And then I like to take a fresh avocado, and I'll just show my little trick on cutting it here. Twist out the side without the seed. And I just cut it in cubes in the skin.
You don't use a vegetable peeler for that?
No. And then it's very easy to take a spoon and just spoon out a little bit right on top. That's it.
It's
perfect.
beautiful.
And that's it. And I mean.
And an actual serving size of avocado, by the way.
That looks so amazing.
We have another way to show you once we go check in on Mom and see how she's doing. I have another way to serve this quinoa dish.
I can smell roux.
Okay, my roux is starting to brown. If you can see it, you can see it's starting to brown. And the most important thing is you have to stay with it. You cannot leave
Especially
it.
right here, boy. You can smell the heat.
You cannot look away. And you might want to turn fans on and vents on because it really gets hot and it'll set off smoke alarms.
Yep.
Because your pan is very, very hot.
And we're doing it, and we're doing the roux dry. You know, normally when you make a roux, there would be fat, there would be a liquid in there to help make it, to help brown it.
Yes.
So you got to remember, as you're making this dry roux, if you are already used to making a roux and you're one of us, a Louisiana person, or familiar with making a roux, it's not going to reach your like peak chocolate state until you add liquid to it. So the tricky part about a dry roux is it's going to look a little bit lighter. Getting close right there.
Right. Well, no, I have one because
It's getting a little. It'll look a little bit lighter. Look, show it, Mama.
this is the what.
This is about what color?
And if you don't mind, what I'll do is just turn this off so we can go ahead and I'll show you. This is not quite dark enough for me, but I'm going to turn it off and put it on the side because I don't want to burn it.
Right.
And I'm going to go ahead and add, this is 1.5 cups of the roux that I have already made. Okay. And so if you see, I got, and you asked me about Gidry's. This is my salvation here. This is Gidry's. It's chopped onions, bell pepper, celery, parsley, and garlic. And I have a DIY in my cookbook. It's about 1 cup of onions, 1/2 cup of bell pepper, 1/2 cup of celery, maybe 1/4 cup of parsley and garlic. And then you dump it in. It's called the Trinity.
We call that the Trinity. Bell pepper, celery, and the Holy Trinity. Bell pepper, celery, and onions. That's the Holy Trinity for Cajun cooking.
And Josh, what is the Evil Trinity? Sugar, oil, and salt.
Yes, exactly. Sugar, oil, and salt.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
I was trying to think of something dirty.
my onions are sauteed down. So what I want to do is, and this is where it gets really, really fast. Okay. When I dump this in, it's going to thicken up like crazy and I have to start putting my liquids in. So I'm going to dump all this in. Okay. And I get it stirred up real good and it sticks very quickly because this is a hot pan.
Yeah.
So I have to start pouring in my vegetable broth very quick. Okay. And then I stir that. And you can see it's turning into a beautiful roux.
Right. Now we're starting to get the color that we would have normally gotten
This is the roux.
if you made it the traditional fat way.
Right.
You know, I'm telling you, this is going to be a great format for a show. Like Josh, you're sort of like the Howard Cosell, you know, like you're like your brother and your mom cook, and you kind of, you know, like you're like, you know, like the sports announcer, but for the thing. I think it's going to be great.
And so my recipe says to use 2 containers of vegetable broth and add water, but I'm just going to use 3 vegetable broth. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add all of my vegetable broth now. And I usually use Kitchen Basic, but for some reason our Walmart stopped selling it here. And so I can't get it because it's got less sodium.
You
Okay.
hear Levi in the background?
That's my 5-month-old grandbaby,
That's a great name, Levi. I love it.
Levi Allen. Allen's was my dad's name. Okay, so we got all that.
When I was a kid, when I was a little kid, my bam would always make a big gumbo, and my job was to go in and take the spoon and scrape the edge down as it would cook, so we could keep all of that goodness in the liquid, you know.
Okay, and then Rotel. I don't know if y'all have that, if it's everywhere, but it's a spicy tomato. It's got green chilies. And I put, because this is a bigger gumbo, I put 2 cans, but in my recipe, in the book, it's just 1 10-ounce can.
And then there for the purists out there, tomatoes in your gumbo is not a very bayou thing. We from the swamp, from the bayou. There's something different in New Orleans. And so this is like an amalgamation just out of necessity of our traditional gumbo that we grew up eating, and something that we just have to shift the ingredients to make it an outcome that we want with the dish. Because
this is basically an okra gumbo, because we don't have shrimp and sausage and chicken and all that good stuff in it. And if you don't put something in with the okra, it gets slimy. And so the tomatoes is what keeps the okra from being so slimy.
Yeah.
Okay, it helps that a lot.
Before we get called out on that, it's like putting tomatoes in your gumbo is like a no-no.
Okay, and then I put 1 to 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, depending on how spicy you want it.
Spicy.
The rule is if you sip it and it burns right when it hits your throat, that's perfect. Okay.
That's hilarious.
And then 1 to 2 tablespoons of granulated garlic and granulated onion powder. So that's what's going in here. And then I put 2 to 3 tablespoons of liquid smoke to give it that good smoky flavor. I put half a cup of nooch. Got to have nooch.
Nooch.
And then I put a half a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. And then in the real world, I would let this cook for like 45 minutes. But since we don't have that time, after it simmers really good, about 45 minutes, I get my okra. I'm sorry, I didn't have it ready. I meant to have it ready.
Yeah. Just tear open the bag. There you go.
And this is a 28-ounce bag frozen okra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just dump it in there. Okay.
Have you ever tried grilled or air fried okra?
Yeah.
I
Oh
love
God.
air
Yes.
fried
Oh
okra.
God. Yes.
It's so good that way, and it's not slimy.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
I'm a
Yes.
huge okra fan. I like it slimy. I don't care.
The thing about okra is the whole reason. So, gumbo is like an African word that means okra. That's how the whole thing came about. So this is probably, when you're talking about being poor and making do with what you have, this is probably the most authentic way to eat gumbo, because you wouldn't be able to get so much smoked sausage and chicken thighs and chicken pieces, and so it feels something authentic. It feels extra authentic being an okra only gumbo to me.
Yeah. And it's really delicious. It's very good. It satisfies our our gumbo needs. And so what I would do is I would let this simmer. The longer you cook it, the better it is. So I usually cook it a good 3 hours simmering. Okay. And so I have one done. So I'll serve it up for you. Maybe move this over. I can, but I'll burn myself. Okay. And this one here is done. So I'm going to show you this, and this is the completed gumbo right here. You see the little stuff on the side that I didn't do very good at smooshing down, like Josh said?
Yeah.
It gets up there, and so you just serve it like this. Put you a good serving of gumbo, and then put some rice on it. Okay, right on the top of it like that. And that's our gumbo. And if you're a true Cajun, you put a big dollop of potato salad right on the side of that, right in the gumbo. Okay, and
But
that's it.
That's ready to
our
mange.
gumbo, yes.
That's ready to mange right
Set
there.
it over here if you want, Mom. I have one more way I like to serve this Mexi-ana quinoa dish that I have. Is a lot of times I'll have cooked sweet potatoes on hand because I find that the having them ready whenever I'm hungry stops me from eating something different, right? So being prepared can kind of help me out. But what I do is just take some cooked sweet potatoes, cut a slit right in the top of them, and just kind of smash them open here very easily. And then we just come back with a little bit of this salad.
Cho.
Put it right in the middle.
I'm about to start.
And then take some more of our avocado on the side here. Just a little bit on top. A little fresh black pepper.
Done.
Done.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. And, instead of gumbo, you should call it yumbo.
And if a lot of people like to put filet on top of that, which is ground sassafras leaves. That's
Roots, I think.
Roots or
Roots,
leaves.
Yeah.
And that's a tradition. That's what you put on your gumbo when you're ready to eat it. It's very good.
It helps to thicken it and give
Yeah.
it more body. It makes
More
the
flavor,
liquid a
body.
little bit more smooth and silky.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about your book. When did you write it? Why did you write it? How many recipes? What are some of the recipes?
Well, my mom was an amazing cook. She cooked 3 meals a day. It was full course meals, but it unfortunately was very unhealthy. But my mama showed us how much she loved us through her food and through her cooking. Anytime we felt bad or we were having a bad day or it was a celebration, Mama would be in the kitchen cooking. And Christmas was her favorite. And so I was raised that way, that through my cooking was how I showed my family how much I love them. So I was like, I can't give up all our traditional dishes. So I have to find a way to change those traditional dishes into healthier foods. And so that's what I did. And Dustin, being a really good cook, helped me with a lot of things too. He has a sauce piquant that's out of this world. We have a competition with our jambalaya.
We have 2 different types of jambalayas.
There's 2 different types in the book. I have my mama's cabbage rolls in there. I have a lentil loaf that I absolutely love. It's one of my family's very favorite. We had that for 4th of July. We had the lentil hamburger patties. There's
some of the stuff is just some of the things I created when getting used to the diet. Just my dynamic breakfast bowl is nothing other than some simple berries, a little bit of oats, and a little bit of a nut milk of some sort, and that's it. And it's just some things that I came up with, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It's just using what you have, knowing what to stay away from, knowing what to stock in your house, and just put something together. I always love cooking. But it's real easy when you use the stuff that's not good for you.
This is like incredible. A good-looking man that can cook. Okay.
He's a very good cook too.
But you're not on the market, right, Dustin?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Oh, man, are there any more of you somewhere that I could work with?
We're raising 2 little ones.
I don't have that kind of time. Well, everybody's asking for each of you, and you can each take a turn. What do you guys eat in a day? What's your workout routine like?
I just try to get up and do something every day. Right now, I'm just in a 5K a day routine. I'm trying to make sure I get in a 5K a day. I'm coming off of a little bit of back injury, just soreness and stuff. I just try to stay active. I really, sometimes I'll follow little plans and sometimes I won't, but I just try to get up every morning and do a little bit, and stay towards that goal I have, which is to be that new healthy person. There's no maximum weight I want to lift, and there's no certain type thing that I want other than optimal health. And that's been the only thing that's helped me sustain us, that and the support group we have with our family.
With me, it's changed through the 7 years. I started at 57. I'm now 63. So it's 56, and I'm now 63. So in the beginning, I was able to eat. I would eat a breakfast. I would have like a smoothie and a bagel, and have a lunch, and then a meal, a dinner meal. And now that I'm down 105 pounds, I still have 35 pounds to lose. And we all know how difficult those last few pounds are. So I try not to eat past like 5 or 6 at night. And then I try not to eat a breakfast. I try and wait till like 11 before I eat a lunch, and then I eat my evening meal. 3 days a week, I walk 2 miles a day. And then the other days I try to get outside. I love to garden. We had a beautiful family garden that we worked really hard in. And that's what I usually do if I'm not at the gym or walking, I work out in my garden.
One thing that's really helped us in our eating, and Josh kind of helped me see this, was the way it tastes isn't the only thing that matters about a meal, right? We have to look at every aspect of the meal we're eating. Not only how does it taste, but how does it affect my body after I eat it? How does it allow me to recover? How does it allow me to have healthy cell regeneration? And how everything goes into play when I'm making my meals now, and not just how it tastes. It seemed, now looking back on it, it seemed very, I guess, absent-minded to just always be pleasing my taste buds and not the rest of my body. So that aspect's really helped me a lot.
That's a strange concept because, I mean, fat is flavor. And when you're a Cajun, the whole point of making a meal is flavor. The whole point, why even stink up the kitchen if it ain't going to be banging, the best one ever? And the way you make it the best one ever, when flavor's the only thing we're worried about, is put a bunch of fat in it. You start it off with some bacon, you add some sausage in there, you put some ground pork in there, you put some smoked tasso in there. Like, you do all of these things that just bring fat to the table. But somewhere along the way, I began to try to appreciate the net and what my food was. Yes, of course, Dustin's jambalaya and Mama's jambalaya can compete against one another, but neither one of their jambalayas can compete against the upfront palatability of sausage and chicken and all of the things that you're used to in your jambalaya. So you have to be able to appreciate, okay, this is a version that, yeah, maybe we won't win the Thibodeauville jambalaya contest with it. However, we're not going to be part of the process that makes Louisiana #1 or #2 all the time in obesity, diabetes, heart disease, all of those things. So in the net, we get to, as Cajuns, have our cake, or jambalaya in this case, and eat it too, you know?
That's
and
amazing.
one thing I want to say is, I always make sure that I have staples at my house that I can have when I'm hungry. I always have potatoes that I can throw in the microwave. I always have greens. I always have broccoli. I always have beans and rice. I always have those certain staples that I can always go to when I want a meal.
I'm sure you guys have coworkers, other family members, friends in your community. Like, has anybody noticed the change in this family?
Oh
yeah.
Especially where we live.
And it's not always positive either.
Well, so, I mean, so what do they say?
different.
Are they like, oh, y'all too thin? I mean, like, what are they saying? They have to have noticed.
That we just don't get invited to crawfish boils and barbecues and things like that anymore, because they just know. I mean, I don't know why. We just don't get invited.
The weird thing is when you just that approach to food making, where flavor isn't a #1 priority anymore, somehow, like when you have other foodie friends and other cook friends and other chef friends, somehow like you wind up not having the same interests, and you just kind of don't vibe in that area anymore. It's just the way it is.
I never realized how much unhealthy food was such a common denominator.
Yes.
In so many relationships.
In so many different relationships.
Yeah.
And it's really been an eye opener, but you know, for one time in my life, I'm worried about me, and that's it. I mean, and my family, I'm worried about my health. It's not about fun and taste and who can like me the most. It's about doing what's right, facing what's wrong, and doing it even if it's hard, doing it anyway. Because it's hard, you know. So.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, addicts love company.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. You know, I would imagine being in the South, I don't know if that you're part of the Bible Belt, but I imagine there's a lot of people that go to church. And I interviewed a rabbi recently, and one of the things we were talking about, how a lot of times if the leader of a community, whether it's like in New York, you know, Eric Adams, who's, you know, vegan now, or the head of a church or a synagogue will sometimes take the initiative of healthy eating, they'll inspire the whole congregation. Is there any hope for any of the churches that we can get to them? Because I find that when you have a leader like that, if they will do what you're doing, sometimes the congregation listens.
I don't know. I don't
tried.
know.
We did. I did Heart Healthy Alliance. It's a group that we started, and it was 2 years old, I think, when we had to kind of shut it down because of the quarantines and all. And we tried to get out in the community. We tried. We had a monthly meeting once a month. We had every Sunday we had meals. On Sunday once a month we had meals. We invited different people. We watched different videos, and I just didn't see it, you know, getting a grasp.
There's a certain novelty to what we've done, like as a family. You know, there's weight loss stories, but then there's like, whoa, not only did they lose weight, we all changed our views politically. We all think completely differently about racism. We all think completely different about a number of social issues. And so I don't know if we resonate with in a way that could maybe inspire something like that with that crowd. It's a very conservative crowd that we live in, very, very Catholic, thick Catholic constituency. And we, to be honest, we just don't run in those circles a hell of a lot. I mean, shocker with my mouth. I don't.
What about the doctors though? Because I'm sure you guys have seen doctors in the past, or maybe see them now, or even like a dentist. Because you would think that a health professional maybe would be interested in what you're doing.
I have a friend who has an endocrinologist here, who this friend with type 1 diabetes has lost 100 pounds, become a marathoner, gotten stable with his A1Cs. He's down to just sipping insulin in his pump. That his endo doesn't know how low to set his insulin anymore, right? And that doctor has seen these magnificent changes in this guy who was struggling for decades. And it's just a novelty to him. It's like, oh yeah, but nobody else would do that. But it's systemic. Like there's a wellness center here in town, and not to put anybody on blast, but at the level of deciding what gets sold in the place, in the gift shop, they sell Body by Bacon t-shirts. Now this is an entity that has the best and the brightest, right? So I have spent a lot of energy in my life worrying about trying to help in that regard, but my goodness, it drives you crazy. I would almost rather just prefer for us as a family to stand strong as a lighthouse and do our thing. And if people are interested, hey, come holler at us. But I'm not gonna.
I'm not as interested in saying as much as I am to just continually
be the thing
and let them watch. And I know a lot of people are watching. A lot of people want the results until they find out what got me my results, and then they think that's just extreme. Now that I've lost a bunch of weight and run, they worried about my knees, but didn't worry about my knees when I was 400 pounds. But so just a bunch of funny things like that. But I'm just concerned with just continuously to get up and do every day.
It gets a little daunting if you try too hard to change people's views. I tried to get 2 dietitians to come and speak to my group, and I showed them all the information and told them about our story and everything, and they just wouldn't come. And So it's daunting.
Well, I'm glad
It's
you guys have
difficult.
each other, you know, because some people don't. And I think, like, you know,
Makes it critical.
Of course, you can't guarantee what's going to happen. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, most people that lose weight gain it back. You guys have a pretty good track record of maintaining it. Did any of you ever kind of like worry that could happen, or you're not worried because you know the other two will be on top of you right away, like white on rice?
No, I'm not. Yeah.
I know way too much now. Learning about the plant-based diet really helped with my sustainability because it all made sense. I'm the kind of person that wants to know how it works, break it down, make sense out of it, and it just makes so much sense that is my North Star now. It's not. It used to be I wanted to lose weight so I could go back and comfortably participate in what got me up into such an uncomfortable weight. So that's why I constantly went back. I would lose 50 pounds and then go back and do the same things, but in a new body, and felt better about myself. But that just actually helped me put on more weight, right? So I changed my North Star, which was learning about the plant-based diet and becoming aware of what I was eating and the quantities I was eating and why I was eating.
And I'm sorry, Mama, but I wanted to give Chef AJ a little props too, because I learned a lot from you about caloric density. And so when we really shifted out, you know, you can get down into the nitty gritty and nutrition and count your macros and do all of these very specific things. But generally speaking, if you can eat a calorically dilute diet and stay satiated, you are on the path to sustainable, not only weight loss, but keeping it off. That has been critical, and being able to articulate that and point that out with the, nothing left, as much as you want left of the red line type of an idea, that is really powerful for long-term sustainability.
What I wanted to say was, no, I don't think I will ever go back. Have I gained and lost some weight in my 7 years? Absolutely. But when I found myself gaining weight, I knew exactly what I had to do. Before I started this, I shared with you that I went and I had my lap band done. I did lose some weight on it, but I gained it all back. And at that point was when Josh came to me and told me about this new way of eating. And so I did this for about a year or 2 years. And I said, well, I know what to eat now. I know how to eat. I know how to lose weight and keep it off and feel good. So I went to the doctor and I told him I wanted the lap band removed. And he said, well, do you want the sleeve? And I said, no, I want the lap band taken out. And he said, well, what makes you think you're going to be able to lose weight now? I said, because I know how to eat now.
Wow.
I know how to eat now. And that's what this is so sustainable. It's the easiest thing that I've done, not only to lose weight, but to keep it off.
Incredible. And I imagine where you live, there's no Whole Foods, there's no Trader Joe's.
Oh, no. We got Walmart and Roux.
Yeah, we got Walmart and Rouse's.
Yeah,
And
if you're
Rouse's
able to
is
do it,
yeah.
if you guys are able to do this in the bacon belt, nobody has any excuse why they can't do this.
Yeah, but like Josh tells everybody, every grocery store has a produce.
Every grocery store has
They
a
have
produce
produce,
department.
dried beans, and frozen vegetables. No excuse. You can do it.
And we even worse. We in the boudin belt. That's even
Yeah.
worse than the bacon belt.
And
That is
crawfish.
amazing. Were there any traditional family recipes or just Cajun recipes that you couldn't make healthy? Like one of the things I'm thinking is like, what about beignets?
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
You would have to.
I'm
Like
thinking
fried
about boudin,
speckled
but
trout,
it's going to be hard. There was one that came to mind. Hog head cheese.
Yeah.
Cracklings.
Yeah.
Cracklings. Yeah,
Gratons. Yeah. Oh God.
You know, I wish I had the power like a Hollywood agent to just give you guys a show right now. But what I'm thinking, remember there was a show called Wife Swap where families would,
Right.
swap
Oh, yeah.
wives. People are saying, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. Like, I'm thinking like live with a LaJuanie because there's so many of you. We could send you out to different places and people could live with you for like a month and you could show that anybody can do this. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, that was my first guide. I just said I'm going to take the foods that I love to eat and take the meat and oil out of them, and that's how I started. And it takes you get failures, but then you get successes, and so it takes that to be
people get so caught up in what we do at the stove and what we do at on the plate. But especially for me in my house, what's most important is what goes in my pantry and what goes in my refrigerator.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how many recipes you know. If you got junk in the house, like you say, it's in your mouth, bro.
Yeah.
You can stunt, you can pretend like it's for the kids. It's not. You eating that.
We do not have chips and cookies and candies and all that stuff. We do not ever have that in our house.
Good for you. I can't imagine what holidays must be really great at your house.
Oh, and they're delicious. They're very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have any questions for all or any specific LaJaunie? And so did you had the lap band, you did have it taken out, right, Ramona?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I've had it taken out probably about 4 years ago now, 4 to 5 years ago. Yeah.
I love that. That is so
And
great.
It feels so much better because I could feel it in there. It actually hurt me. And so I'm so glad that I learned how to eat and was able to take it out, and I don't need it anymore.
I'm so glad too that you had that, because there's other kinds of weight loss surgeries that aren't reversible, and people suffer terribly from them because, like you say, they never learn how to eat. Having any kind of weight loss surgery, it doesn't fix this.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And
Exactly.
you know as well as we do, Chef AJ, that just knowing how is not all of the battle, because there's a lot of people that we both know who know how, who just can't, who just for whatever reason don't or can't pull the levers to actually do the thing, you know?
And a lot of times it's because there's no support. There's constant resistance even within the same household.
Especially
So
in the family.
That's one thing we've kind of got in our favor working for us. You know?
Janine wants to know if by any chance you have any before pictures to show. We sent them out in the email for sure. And guys, the name of the book is Pure Ambrosia. I've been posting a link every few minutes on the screen here, but there it is. They're saying it's number 22 in vegan now. If everybody here buys it, maybe they can get to number 1 in vegan. Wouldn't that be amazing? And yes, Josh was on the cover of Runner's World magazine.
We do have before and after pictures, but unfortunately we don't
Where's
have
your
any.
phone? You got your phone?
Grayson has.
Yeah, Dustin, I'm sure, has a couple.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, just spoiler alert, we were fat.
Oh, very sad.
You guys are, I love you guys. I wish you'd move to California so I'd have some nice
That's
people
good,
to
dude.
hang out with.
Look,
People
look,
love you.
this is-
Brave, courageous,
this
honorable,
is
authentic,
Dustin.
genuine. Oh, wow.
Dustin, in my opinion, is the biggest transformation because he's been bigger all of our lives. And he was, and I remember even in elementary school, he was big. Look at the difference. We ran across Florida in a race, a relay race.
Last April.
Yeah, last April, we ran across Florida in a relay race, 200 miles across Florida with some other guys who've lost triple digit weight themselves. And we just did this race across Florida, the coast to coast relay. And it's just so empowering. It just feels so good.
Just understanding what really made a big deal for me is understanding how food is marketed to us in the United States, and understanding how my addiction to the food, and what I thought was healthy, how it was all bogus and it was just meant to sell more food. And so understanding the way that works, and then relearning what is really healthy, relearning what my plate should look like. It's gotten me where I'm at. I mean, it's done.
So many people are still going around in this world, in this country, doing exactly what we were doing and just eating cheese cubes as diet food. That is because it doesn't have carbs in it. And that is
so many people say they can't lose weight because it's genetic, but you guys all had the genes for obesity. All of you were obese, and yet it's what you put in your mouth.
It is absolutely what you
It's
put
what
in your
families
mouth.
traditionally
And
eat.
what you put in your brain, because what you put in your brain determines whether or not you let yourself believe you can get this done. You know, you can succeed in spite of yourself temporarily. But if you want to go on for the rest of your life, you've got to get on board and be your own ally. And that takes a lot of stuff, a lot of work in here. And I think, and that's another thing beyond the food, I'm proud of all of my family for all of the stuff that we have done. Everybody's been to therapy, and we've done it together. It's important. It's a big transition to not only talk about weight loss and what you do with food, but so much of the mindset and the peacefulness comes from hashing out things in your brain that you don't ever let out, you know? And so going and getting help as you make this transition, because a big part of why you were fat in the first place is because you weren't happy. So if you get unfat and you're still not happy, you're never fixing anything. Yeah, so I kind of went left there, but it's just so true among all of us in my family.
That happiness that I got from food was very short-lived compared to the happiness I've found in health.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's a t-shirt. That is brilliant. You know, genetics loads the gun. It's the recipes that pull the trigger.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And I say that all the time. I say, you know what Chef AJ said.
Yeah. Now, you guys, when you were heavy, your face is really like the face, you could see such a huge difference. You almost don't even, did you both guys know how handsome you were? Could you tell under all that?
I guess not.
Not so much.
I mean, because you both are really handsome guys. And
we're both very lucky men right now in our lives, but I know I can speak for myself and maybe my brother, but we were good looking enough to get about into friend zone level most of the time. Everybody says they love the fat guy, they like the fat guy, but very few people actually do.
I think it was mainly because I wasn't my authentic person.
Yeah,
I was trying to be somebody different in that big meat cloth I was wearing. I guess I don't know how to put it, but when I started
fat suit,
when I started losing weight and looking in the mirror and questioning everything that got me where I was at, I started learning it was okay to just be me.
Wow. You guys are. Michelle says this is a question for Ramona and Dustin. What's the best advice on how we can get our own family members on board the way Josh did for you?
Number one is do what you're saying or do whatever you're suggesting them to do.
Be about it.
Be about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. That's number one.
Number two, everybody knows Josh. He is a very persistent person. He speaks his mind. He has no filter. We've had many arguments, many talks, many tears, and very thankful for that. But the thing that does it the most is example. You have to show example. You can't just talk it.
One other thing I could maybe suggest is maybe start a potluck night just to let show them if they don't have the courage to try it on their own, at least have a meal once a week like Mom does for us. And it kind of helped me some is she cooks once a week and the whole family comes and grabs supper, whether it's pick up a plate and go, if it's been a busy day, it doesn't matter. And it's just something to know that you can, offer the meal that they don't have to prepare, don't have to shop for, just give it to them and let them try it, plant the seed, but you have to do it yourself in order to be heard.
So there's a question like, do you guys have like regular jobs and what are coworkers like to deal with?
Well, one of my helpers, he eats what I eat whenever it comes for lunchtime. And I've found more support and with the people that work with me than anywhere else.
Yeah. To answer the question, like I'm a trailer park manager. It mainly is what I do most of the time. We have a mobile home park here, and my mom is a teacher. My brother has his own business, an AC and electrical business, but he also helps out here a hell of a lot. I work with a lady up at the office, a friend of mine who's been around forever, and she helps me with managing all of the tenants and collecting the rent and keeping up with all of the bills and doing all of the stuff. So we have very busy lives. And there's it's like whack-a-mole with like little problems all the time when you have your own thing. But luckily that also provides us with a lot of freedom of schedule. And if we decide we want to do something, we can go and do it usually. So that usually helps. That usually helps a lot. But as far as my working relationship, the people who I work with, they understand. Most of them aren't interested in doing the things that I do, but they are proud of me for having created the results I've created in my life. And I would say probably the same goes for mom and everyone else. And for me, what's hard getting used to is the struggle between constantly wanting to say, yeah, well, if I'm inspiring you, why don't you fix your freaking food? And like sort of constantly be not saying that when it's screaming inside of my head. That's a new struggle.
I have friends or even parents, when I do parent conferences and they share with me that they have high blood pressure, they're diabetic, or they have heart disease. And I've even given books for some of my parents, and I just want to scream to them, you can fix it. You can fix it. And it's just, I don't understand why people don't want to at least try.
I think it's because they're so addicted. I really do. I think I think addiction just affects the part of the brain where
and there's plenty of support out there to support that addiction.
Right. And it's such a supported addiction, you know?
Yes.
It's like if everybody you knew was doing heroin, like everybody's like,
it's an addiction that nobody even knows they're addicted.
No heroin? None?
That's funny. Everybody wants to know if all your significant others are also on board.
Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Daniel, my children's father, and I have divorced, but we're still very cordial. We see each other every day, and he's still a really good friend of mine. And it took him forever. He's the one that had a massive heart attack, and he broke his feet, and we couldn't get through to him, and it was very disheartening, to be honest with you. And within the last year, probably, he has finally got on board. He eats no meat. He does very good. He walks with me
like
every day. And he's amazing. He's doing a really good job, and I'm so proud of him.
I think he's finally understanding that the condition of cardiovascular disease is reversible, and it's so frustrating, especially when your dad is the patient, where that idea, that concept does not get entertained by his actual cardiologist that he sees on a daily basis. On a regular basis, not daily basis, but you know what I'm saying.
And not only is our significant others a part, my 2 grandbabies are also whole food plant-based.
Is there any way before we say goodbye we can see Levi?
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Cassie's in her workout clothes still.
That's okay.
We would say in the bio, haunt.
She's like, I'm not coming on the camera. This is my Levi baby.
Can
you see him?
Precious.
And so he just started eating solid foods, and they make his baby food. He's eating carrots, zucchini,
fresh
avocado,
out the family garden too.
And I think green beans, and then sweet potatoes are going to be next.
And look how much energy he never stops wiggling.
And he's just a sweet little baby. And Grayson's here too. Cassie, go get Grayson real quick.
Grayson.
We'd love to meet the daughter. We'd love to meet your daughter and sister.
Well, maybe we could talk. She has her hair up and she has no makeup on, and she's just
okay. I understand.
It's different for girls.
So it's 2 boys and a girl, Josh?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. And Josh, are you the
oldest? I'm the oldest. Dustin's what,
Middle.
two and a half-ish, 3 years.
And Cassie's the caboose.
And Cassie's 5 years. Cassie was born on Dustin's 5th birthday, so they share a birthday.
That's neat.
And here's Grayson, he's been whole food plant-based his whole life.
And he smells real bad.
Wait for Miss AJ.
Hi, Grayson.
This is Chef AJ.
Hi. Do you want to be on a show?
Say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. He's being
good.
He's being shy.
You
You ready to eat?
He sees. He
sees
calls
food.
avocados Colorados. He wants Colorados, I can tell you.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, you guys are amazing. I wish you lived closer. I would hang out with you every single day.
That would be awesome.
And I love you guys so much. And guys, check out the book. It's number 22 now. Why don't we all get it and then maybe make it number 1? Wouldn't that be amazing?
all these plant-based brains in the world, there's bound to be a teleporter soon.
I got to get you guys a show. I know a few people. I think it would be amazing, like Life with the LaJauanies. I mean, people watch these stupid shows like The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is what I want to watch.
Love it.
Yeah, right. Well, guys, Josh is going to be coming back on another episode by his lonesome, telling his full story in detail. So you have that to look forward to. And maybe the rest of the LaJauanies will come back and cook more recipes from their book. So
Absolutely.
that's terrific. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Please come back in an hour when I interview the legendary Elaine LaLanne, 94 years old, still exercising every day, the wife of Jack LaLanne. And please check out the book, Pure Ambrosia. And thank you, Dustin, Josh, and Ramona. It's been such a wonderful time spending it with you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Chef
so
AJ.
much. We appreciate it.
Bye.